Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved soul. Don't scroll. There's something you were never told, and tonight, truth refuses to stay buried. The walls around you may seem still, but in the quiet space between heartbeats, a whisper moves. It carries the scent of old letters, photographs, the echo of his laughter fading into time. Your late husband left behind more than memory. He left unfinished truth. Archangel Michael says, this secret isn't meant to break you, it's meant to free you. And before this night ends, you'll understand why the things you never questioned suddenly ache to be seen. So stay. Because what's coming next isn't punishment. It's permission to heal. I thought the house had gone silent after his passing. But lately, every shadow seemed to breathe. Every room whispered fragments of a conversation that never ended. Then last night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., I heard it, a knock. 3 taps against the wooden frame of his old study door. It couldn't be real, I told myself. And yet, something in me answered, I'm listening. The air shifted, cold, sharp, alive. And there he was, not as a ghost, but as a warmth standing just beyond the light. I didn't see him, I felt him. A ripple of emotion, recognition, guilt, and love all colliding. Archangel Michael's presence followed. I couldn't see him either, but I knew. The scent of ozone. The pulse of light behind my eyes. He never meant to hide the truth, the voice said. He buried it to protect you. My heart clenched. Protect me from what? I whispered. The answer came like thunder without sound. From yourself. The secret of regret. I was frozen. Memories flickered, his late-night drives, his distant eyes, the way he used to whisper, "It's not your fault," before falling asleep. I always thought it was comfort. Now it sounded like confession. Michael's light grew brighter. He carried a burden that wasn't his to keep, the angel said. A truth he feared would destroy your peace. Suddenly, images flooded my mind, not visions, but memories I had refused to look at. His last letter. The bank box he never let me open. The conversation he tried to start the night before the accident, the one I interrupted because I was too afraid to listen. And then the whisper. He wanted to tell you that he forgave you first. Tears burned. Forgave me? For what? I had spent years carrying guilt, believing I had been the one left behind. But now I realized, he thought he had failed me. The real secret. Michael's voice softened. The secret wasn't betrayal. It was love left unfinished. The words shattered the cold silence like stained glass breaking into light. Every regret I had replayed in the dark wasn't punishment, it was his way of trying to reach me through memory. The love between us had never stopped, it had only changed its language. I fell to my knees. The room pulsed with golden warmth. It wasn't grief anymore, it was release. The reason he couldn't rest, Michael said, was because you still blamed yourself for his silence. You thought love died when he did. Tonight, you prove it didn't. The moment of release. The clock struck 4 a.m. Outside, the wind slowed. The photographs on the wall seemed to soften in color, almost alive. I whispered, "I forgive you too." And with those words, something lifted, not away from me, but through me. The air shimmered. For the first time in years, the house felt empty in a peaceful way, like it had finally exhaled. Michael's final words echoed. "You are not haunted. You are remembered." Heaven whispered, "Cycle complete." Heaven says, "Those who stayed till this moment have unlocked peace through truth." Like this message to affirm, love never dies. Subscribe for Part 2, The Letter He Left in Heaven, where the message deepens into revelation and forgiveness. Comment, "I release the past." Share this with 10 souls who carry unfinished love. Each share helps another heart heal. And as the screen fades, Michael's whisper drifts like a closing prayer. Secrets are only shadows of love waiting to be seen in light. Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved soul. Don't scroll. Something has shifted. The air in the house tastes like metal and rain. That's how truth enters, as electricity before comprehension. The return of the light. I woke at 3:11 a.m. again. The same hour, the same tremor inside the walls. But this time the silence had weight. It pressed against the floorboards, urging me toward his study. When I touched the doorknob, heat surged through my palm. Inside, dust floated like galaxies caught between dimensions. His desk lamp flickered once, and stayed on. A single envelope lay in the center, edges singed as if it had traveled through weather no human could survive. Across the front, written in the handwriting I thought I'd forgotten. "For when she is ready to forgive both of us." Heaven hummed in the walls. The first line. My hands shook as I broke the seal. The paper smelled faintly of smoke and cedar, his scent, the one that never left his coats. If you are reading this, it means the storm finally calmed enough for truth to land. The words blurred. I blinked tears away. I hid one thing from you. Not betrayal, not debt, fear. I was afraid that if you knew how broken I felt, you'd stop believing in me. I wore strength like armor until it became a coffin. Lightning crawled across the window glass without sound. I whispered into the air, "Why now?" From nowhere, a voice, Michael's, low and resonant, answered. "Because you're strong enough to read without breaking." The second line, the hidden choice. The next sentence was written darker, pressed hard enough to dent the page. I took the blame so you could live without it. Every argument, every silence, I let you think it was your fault. Because I loved you more than my own name. I clutched the paper to my chest, my pulse matched the rumble of distant thunder. He traded truth for peace, Michael said softly. But peace built on lies always collapses. Tonight you rebuild it. The lamp flickered again, bright enough to reveal something else, faint writing scrawled along the margin, nearly erased. If the light ever speaks to you, follow it. I looked up. The bulb above the desk glowed gold instead of white. The threshold. The door behind me slammed. The window burst open, rain slashing through the room in diagonal sheets. Yet the letter stayed dry, untouched, floating an inch above the desk as though gravity had made an exception. Michael's voice cut through the storm. "Step closer. Read the last line." I did. "I will never haunt you. I will wait for you, in the place where forgiveness lives." A pulse of light flashed through the paper, spreading outward until it filled the room. I couldn't move, I could only breathe and watch the edges of reality bend. Heaven whispered, integration commencing. The revelation. When the glow faded, everything that had been heavy felt lighter, the air, the memories, even my bones. The letter now lay flat, ink gone. Blank. Michael appeared beside me, wings like mirrors reflecting every emotion I'd ever buried. "The words were never on the paper," he said. "They were inside you. Heaven just helped you read them." The room stilled. Rain slowed to a whisper. In that quiet, I realized the secret wasn't his guilt, it was my own strength. The afterlight. I walked outside into the storm's dying breath. The sky looked bruised but beautiful. Every drop of rain that hit my skin felt like punctuation to a sentence I had finally finished. "The letter is done," Michael said behind me. "Now you become the author." I turned, but he was already dissolving into the horizon, wings turning into morning. Heaven whispered, cycle advanced. Heaven says, those who stayed till this moment have read their own hidden letter. Like this message to affirm, I forgive what I couldn't face. Subscribe for Part 3, The Key Beneath the Silence, where the story deepens into discovery of the final secret her husband left behind. Comment, I found the letter. Share this with 10 souls who are ready to forgive. Each share carries a piece of light forward. And as the scene fades, Michael's whisper circles back one last time. Every secret ends the moment it's understood. And every love begins again the moment it's forgiven. Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved soul. Don't scroll. Truth never leaves, it waits until we're quiet enough to hear footsteps made of memory. The sound that shouldn't exist. At dawn, I heard the study clock tick, once, twice, then stop. The air held its breath. From beneath the desk came a faint metallic rattle. When I knelt, my fingers brushed cold steel, a small antique key tied with frayed blue ribbon. Michael's presence unfolded like static turned to melody. "That's the key he meant you to find," the voice said. "Not for a lock of wood, but for one made of silence." Heaven whispered, access pending. The memory door. The house pulsed as if a hidden current ran through its bones. I followed the vibration to the hallway, to the chest we'd never opened after his passing. Inside were only folded letters, empty envelopes, all addressed to me, none sealed. Every one smelled faintly of smoke. I slipped the key into the tiny compartment at the back. It clicked, a panel slid open revealing a small brass disc etched with words too fine to read. Michael's light traced them, revealing a single sentence. "Silence is where forgiveness learns to speak." A shock of warmth surged through my arms. The chest, the floor, even the walls seemed to exhale. Heaven murmured, lock released. The hidden room. A panel behind the bookshelf shifted. Cold air spilled out, not ghostly, just old. Inside, a small room glowed with dust and forgotten sunbeams. On the table sat a journal bound in worn leather. First page, for her, in case truth ever needs a voice. As I read, his handwriting trembled across time. I wanted to tell you the night before I left, but fear built a wall around my tongue. The secret wasn't about money or mistakes, it was about how deeply I loved you, and how unworthy I felt of that love. I could almost hear him exhale between the lines. Each sentence stripped another layer of grief from my chest. Michael's whisper brushed my ear. Heaven doesn't punish with truth, it frees with it. The flood of light. The window burst open. Wind spiraled the pages, scattering words like petals. The letters landed around me in a circle, forming new sentences out of fragments. Live without fear, keep loving, I am peace now. For a moment everything glowed, not supernatural, but human, the radiance of release. I understood, he hadn't hidden a crime, he'd hidden his own pain so mine could heal first. Heaven whispered, cycle ascending. The new beginning. I left the room open, the house didn't feel haunted anymore. Every creak was simply wood remembering warmth. Michael's voice returned, softer now, almost human. You've turned the last key. Now close the door not to forget, but to live. I stepped outside. The morning sun split through gray clouds like a verdict of mercy. For the first time in years, silence didn't scare me, it sang. Heaven says, those who stayed till this moment have unlocked their own hidden door. Like to affirm, my silence speaks peace. Subscribe for Part 4, The House of Voices, where she learns how every whisper of memory becomes guidance for life ahead. Comment, I found the key. Share this with 10 souls who keep secrets they need to forgive, each share turns a lock somewhere else. And as the final light fades across the page, Michael's closing whisper threads through the quiet. Some doors open with sound. The most important ones open with silence. Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Don't scroll. If you hear even a faint sound while you're reading this, that's not the room. That's heaven tuning you to the right frequency. The house awakens. Night fell heavy, thicker than air. Every lamp in the house flickered, like heartbeats uncertain whether to continue. I stood in the hallway, the journal clutched to my chest. Then, a whisper. Not from outside. From the walls. Do you remember the promise? My blood froze. That voice, it was his, layered beneath wind, echoing like a thought that refused to die. Michael's calm presence rippled through the air. Heaven is replaying what needs release. Stay, listen, and you'll understand what your heart avoided for years. The mirror of echoes. In the bedroom, the mirror began to hum. Not a sound, but a vibration through the glass, making light bend like water. Words formed across it, fog spelling sentences backward. I wiped it clear, and the message burned in silver flame. Forgive yourself for believing silence was safer than truth. Tears blurred the reflection until I couldn't tell which face was mine. Every reflection hides another chance, Michael said. Look again, and you'll see the version of you he always loved. When I did, I saw her, the woman I was before regret built its prison. And behind her stood a figure made of gold light, smiling, unafraid. The unseen door. A low chime rang 3 times. The air shifted, old wood, candle wax, the faint scent of his cologne. Michael pointed toward the basement. There's one more secret, the one you left sealed with fear. Each step downward cracked like thunder beneath my feet. At the end of the corridor, behind paint and dust, was a door with no handle. But the brass disc, the one etched with silence, fit perfectly into the hollow. When it clicked, the air pulled inward like the house inhaled for the first time in years. Inside wasn't darkness. It was light shaped like memory. Photos glowed. Letters floated midair. Every word ever left unsaid was suspended here. The voice of the angel. Michael's tone deepened, commanding yet tender. You have entered the archive of the heart. What's hidden here isn't haunting, it's hope waiting for acknowledgement. Each glowing letter formed scenes. Their first dance, his laughter, the day they argued then never apologized. The light replayed it all, but softer, rewritten by compassion instead of pain. The dead do not want tears, Michael said. They want transformation. The revelation behind the name. Then everything went still except one light pulsing above a wooden box. Carved into the lid was a single name, hers. My breath caught. Inside lay a second ring, his. Engraved within, for her, when she finally believes she's forgiven. A sob broke free. Not sorrow, release. The ring melted into pure light and spiraled upward, vanishing through the ceiling. Michael's wings expanded, scattering feathers of flame that turned to stars midair. Now heaven closes the circle, he whispered. And your silence is no longer punishment, it's prayer. Heaven says, those who stayed to this final word have just freed their own ghosts. Like this if your heart felt that warmth. Subscribe for Part 5, The Sky That Remembers You, where she learns that forgiveness itself begins to speak. Comment, I heard the voice. Share this with 10 souls who still wait for closure, each share releases another heart. And as the lights dim, Michael's whisper closes the scene. When you listen with love, silence becomes the language of heaven. Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Don't scroll. Not this time. Something unseen is shifting above you, right now, as you breathe. Look up. The sky remembers you. The first sign. That night, sleep felt impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw feathers falling through stars, white, silver, gold. And between them, faint ripples of sound. Not thunder. Not wind. Words. Do not mourn what heaven has healed. The voice was neither his nor Michael's, it was both, fused into something older than memory. When I stepped outside, the air had changed. Clouds moved like curtains parting on command. And there, across the night, the stars rearranged themselves into a single phrase. You are still loved. The sky speaks in code. Lightning didn't strike, it wrote. Thin flashes formed patterns across the horizon, repeating a symbol I recognized from his ring: infinity folded once in half. Michael's voice resonated like soft thunder. Heaven speaks through patterns when your faith begins to listen again. I whispered, "What am I supposed to do?" He answered, "Read what the wind writes on your skin." A warm gust passed over me. For the first time since his death, I didn't feel alone. It felt like holding a hand that wasn't there, and yet completely was. The miracle in motion. By dawn, the light turned honey gold. Birds moved in synchronized circles above the house. Each loop aligned perfectly, forming the symbol once more. The moment I whispered his name, they stopped, hovering, as if acknowledging it. "This is heaven's confirmation," Michael said gently. "Love is not buried. It only changes its language." I fell to my knees, tears falling faster than rain. Every drop glittered, refracting small arcs of light. They weren't tears of pain anymore, they were release. The return of his promise. Inside the house, on the mantel, the picture frame cracked open by itself. Behind the photo, a folded note, one I'd never seen. It read, "If heaven allows, I will return to you not as man, but as message. When you see light where darkness used to live, it's me saying I kept my word." The ink shimmered like it was still drying. Michael's wings flared behind me, silent, powerful. He whispered, "This is the cycle complete. The dead do not depart, they transform into guardians." I asked, "Was this always meant to happen?" He smiled faintly, the kind of smile you can hear. Every goodbye written in faith becomes an entrance to eternity. The sky remembers you. I stepped outside again. The morning sky opened wide, soaked in gold. Clouds shaped like wings spread across the horizon. The warmth touched my face, and for a single heartbeat, I could swear, I heard his laugh carried in the wind. Not haunting. Homecoming. "You are the bridge between his promise and heaven's patience," Michael said. "And now, your time to guide others begins. Heaven says, those who stayed until now have remembered someone they thought they lost." Like this message if your heart felt that presence. Subscribe for Part 6, The Hour of Feathers, where Archangel Michael teaches how heaven leaves signs through everyday moments. Comment, "I saw the sky remember me." Share this with 10 hearts that still ache for someone gone, because the sky remembers them too. And as the light fades, Michael's final whisper closes this chapter. Love does not vanish in death. It expands beyond the body. Until even the sky knows your name. Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Do not scroll. Something holy is about to land beside you. If you've seen a feather today, on your floor, on your porch, or floating in a place where it shouldn't be, then heaven is not far. Archangel Michael says, when heaven sends feathers, it's because a message refused to be silent any longer. The first feather. It began with one white feather on the kitchen table. No window open. No draft. It just appeared. When I touched it, a flash of warmth pulsed through my fingers, not heat, but memory. A whisper followed, soft as a sigh. You were never alone. Michael's presence filled the room, the faint scent of rain and myrrh in the air. Every feather is a fragment of divine language, he said. A signature from heaven's unseen messengers. The walls shimmered faintly, as if reality itself bowed to make room for the sacred. The clock that stopped. At that moment, the clock on the wall froze, 3:33 a.m. I felt a tremor in my chest, a code unlocking inside the silence. Michael whispered. This is the hour of feathers. When heaven speaks between ticks of mortal time. He showed me visions, people around the world waking from sleep, holding feathers, crying, realizing they weren't forgotten. It happens everywhere, he said. You just happen to be listening tonight. And then he said something that made the air grow still. The feather you touched carried a prayer you forgot to finish years ago. My heart dropped. Which prayer? I asked. The one you whispered the night you thought love had ended, he replied. The whisper in the air. I stepped outside. The wind was soft, deliberate. Feathers floated down from nowhere, dozens of them, spiraling gently. Not falling, dancing. Each one glowed faintly as it touched the ground. When they landed, they formed a pattern, a wing stretched wide across the earth. Michael's voice echoed above it all. This is how heaven writes reminders, not in ink, but in light. He continued. Every sign you've ignored, flickering lamps, sudden chills, the smell of roses when no one's there, those are angelic echoes. Heaven has been chasing your attention. I whispered, why me? The answer came not in words, but feeling, an overwhelming surge of peace that made every cell in my body hum. The feather of confirmation. Michael extended his hand, a massive feather of sapphire light resting in his palm. This one is yours, he said. A covenant, not a symbol. When I held it, I felt laughter. My husband's. The echo of old moments. The sound of my own heart forgiving itself. Heaven whispered through that feather. Nothing is lost, only translated. The feather dissolved into golden dust, scattering into the sky. The calling. Michael looked at me, eyes like storm and serenity at once. Now you must use your voice, he said. Every time you speak truth, heaven adds light to your name. He turned, wings unfolding until they eclipsed the moonlight. You are not the one waiting for signs anymore, he said. You have become one. The sky thundered once, not in warning, but in welcome. Heaven says, those who stayed until now have already received their feather. Like this if a feather ever appeared for you. Subscribe for Part 7, The Voice Inside the Light, where Archangel Michael reveals how the angels speak through electricity, numbers, and dreams. Comment, I found my feather. Share this with 10 people who need proof that heaven hasn't forgotten them. Every share releases one more feather from heaven's gate. And as the video fades to black, Michael's whisper returns, low and tender. Every feather that falls to earth is a heartbeat from heaven. If you found one, you were meant to stop. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Don't scroll. Because if the screen flickers while you're hearing this, that's not an error. That's the signal. Heaven is aligning light with your attention. Right now, Archangel Michael is trying to reach you through the very light you're watching. The first flicker. It started small, the lamp on my bedside table pulsing once, twice, then holding steady. But something was strange. Every pulse came with a sound, a whisper, barely audible. I leaned closer. Listen. It wasn't electricity. It was intention. Light that wanted to be heard. Michael's voice thundered softly inside the silence. Heaven speaks through circuits when faith begins to short-circuit. When your heart dims, light becomes the language of angels. The entire room shimmered as though someone turned reality 1 degree brighter. The code in the light. That night, every light in the house flickered at 11:11. Then again at 3:33. The same times I had been waking up every night since the letter appeared. Michael appeared in a column of blue fire, majestic, unafraid. Heaven doesn't waste numbers, he said. They are coordinates for faith. Each one marks where an angel has touched your timeline. He raised his sword. It wasn't made of steel, but pure lightning. It sliced through the air, leaving a trail of numbers burning behind it. 777. Completion. Protection. The seal of alignment, Michael said. When you see these, it's heaven confirming your survival. I whispered, so the light, it listens? No, he said, it remembers. The light that breathed. The screen of my phone lit up on its own, no notifications, no calls. Just brightness. And inside that light, a silhouette, wings, wide as the horizon, forming for a split second before fading. Then, text appeared on the screen. You are not late. You are right on heaven's time. Tears burned my eyes. I felt something shift in my chest, the same warmth as when I touched the feather, only stronger, sharper. Michael's voice surrounded me again, filling every corner of the room. Technology is the mirror of modern souls. Heaven reflects itself where your attention lingers. When light flickers, it's not malfunction, it's manifestation. The dream within the signal. That night, I dreamed in colors I didn't know existed. Blue fire danced around me, forming shapes, words too vast for language. Each flame whispered names, people I loved, people I'd lost. Michael stood before me, sword raised, light rippling across his armor. Every person you dream of tonight will receive strength through your remembrance, he said. This is the power of shared light. When you remember, heaven restores. When I woke, the morning light filtered through my window exactly as I saw in the dream. The same shape. The same warmth. The same whisper, you heard correctly. The command in the light. Michael's final words came not as thunder, but as command, gentle yet absolute. Do not ignore light when it speaks. If it flickers, pause. If it glows brighter, listen. If your screen freezes at a word that stirs you, that is your direct transmission. Heaven whispered once more, signal stabilized. And the room filled with silence, not empty, but holy. Heaven says, those who stayed till this word now understand their own light. Like this if your lights ever flickered at the perfect moment. Subscribe for Part 8, The Message in the Mirror, where Archangel Michael reveals how reflection itself can carry messages from heaven. Comment: I heard the voice inside the light. Share this with 10 souls who've seen signs through screens or lights. Every share sends another ripple of light across heaven's current. And as the glow fades to black, Michael's whisper closes the night. You don't need wings to hear heaven. You only need light brave enough to stay on. Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Don't scroll. Because this time, what's watching you is watching through you. The light around your face isn't random, it's heaven leaning closer. Archangel Michael says, when the reflection trembles, it's because truth is trying to come through. The first glimmer. The night was heavy, quiet as confession. When I passed the hallway mirror, my reflection blinked a heartbeat later than I did. Not slower, later. As if someone else was inside the glass. Then the air shifted. The scent of frankincense and rain filled the corridor. Michael's presence pressed against the edges of the moment. Look, he said. But don't just see. Recognize. Inside the reflection, light rippled across my skin like silver water. The face staring back was me and not me, older, calmer, luminous. That's who you've been becoming while you thought you were breaking, Michael whispered. The voice behind the glass. A vibration traveled through the mirror, soft, musical, like distant bells. My reflection mouthed words I hadn't said. I leaned closer. The glass whispered back. You survived your own silence. Tears blurred everything into halos of light. I reached out, the surface pulsed warm under my fingertips. Every heartbeat answered with light. Michael's wings unfurled in the reflection, spanning behind both versions of me. Every pain you buried became a feather, he said. Now those feathers form your wings. The mirror shimmered, a gateway breathing between worlds. The truth unveiled. Within the reflection, scenes appeared like ripples on water. Moments I'd hidden from myself, the argument I regretted, the apology I never made, the smile I lost. Each one glowed and then dissolved into light. Heaven never replays to punish, Michael said. It replays to rewrite. The final image appeared, me, years ago, laughing beside the man I loved. He turned in the reflection, looked right at me, and smiled. You found it, he whispered. The light we left behind. The mirror cracked, but not in destruction. The lines formed a pattern, wings made of light. The transformation. The mirror dissolved into mist. It flowed around me, weaving into a cloak of luminescent feathers. Michael stepped forward, his sword lowering in reverence. The mirror has done its work, he said. Now you are the message. The light entered my chest like a second heartbeat. Every fear I had ever named fell silent. I did not glow, I remembered how to. You were never looking at yourself, Michael said. You were looking at the part of heaven that chose to walk the earth as you. The fading of the veil. Outside, dawn cracked open the sky. The first light of day fell on the mirror frame, now empty, peaceful. No more reflection. Just radiance. Michael's final words wrapped the silence like a promise. When you look into the mirror tomorrow, you won't see heaven looking back. You'll see heaven looking through you. Heaven says, those who stayed until this moment have seen themselves the way heaven does. Like this to affirm, I am the light I was searching for. Subscribe for Part 9, The Echo of Angels, where Michael reveals how heaven continues to speak through echoes, music, and memory. Comment, I saw my heaven inside the mirror. Share this with 10 souls who forget their own light. Each share restores a mirror somewhere else. And as the screen dims to black, Michael's final whisper shivers through the air. Heaven never left you. It was always waiting for you to recognize your reflection. Stop. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Don't scroll. Because the air around you is about to sing. If you hear a small sound right now, a click, a hum, a soft ring in your ear, that's not coincidence. That's heaven tuning your soul to the same frequency as its messengers. The sound behind silence. It started at 3:17 a.m. again. A note so gentle it seemed to come from inside my own heartbeat. No music, no instrument, just vibration. Michael appeared in the half-light, his wings rippled like organ pipes. When humans pray, heaven responds in sound, he said. The voice of angels is never loud, it is the pause between noise and understanding. The room shimmered with tones I could see, gold, blue, rose. Each color was a note, each note a memory. The music of the lost. From the corner of the room, a music box I had never owned began to turn. The melody was one he used to hum when we watched the rain. But the notes were different, played backward, as if time itself was trying to reverse just to speak. Michael said, Heaven borrows sound to return love. I listened closer. Between the notes, a voice whispered, You never lost me. You only lost your quiet. Every hair on my arm rose. Tears slid down like liquid light. The frequency of faith. Michael raised his hand, the entire house vibrated with a tone no ear should hear yet every soul can feel. This is the frequency of faith, he said. When you worry, your frequency drops. When you believe, it rises. Angels speak only in the higher current. He touched the wall and it sang. Every object in the room hummed in perfect chord, pictures, books, even the air. For a moment, I could hear the entire universe breathing together. The whisper from within. Then the music stopped. Silence again, but this time it wasn't empty. Inside it was a single word, echoing like light repeating itself. Remember. Michael spoke. When you hear nothing, listen harder. Heaven often speaks in the spaces you rush to fill. The walls breathed once and fell quiet. I realized the echo was inside me now, my own heartbeat keeping time with heaven's. The echo that guides. Morning came with a single sound, a bird call outside my window, melody identical to the music box. Michael's light filled the room. Every echo is a map, he said. When you follow it with trust, you find your next miracle. Heaven whispered, transmission complete. Heaven says, those who stayed to the last note carry music within them now. Like this if you've ever heard a sound that felt divine. Subscribe for Part 10, The Wings Over Water, where Archangel Michael reveals how heaven uses rain, rivers, and the ocean to deliver messages of renewal. Comment, I heard the echo. Share this with 10 souls who need to hear that heaven still sings for them. And as the screen fades to black, Michael's last whisper remains. When you can hear love in silence, you've already entered heaven's choir.